Welcome back to Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. NASA has a list of demands it says must be met, otherwise it will not participate in the fresh presidential election of October 17th. Well, we should have had a NASA representative here, David Ndi, head of the technical committee. He's not here yet. But we do have with us Ababu Namwamba, who's the head of the Labour Party of Kenya, which is affiliated with the Jubilee Party. Ababu Namwamba is also a lawyer, and so we've been talking about this concept of temporary incumbency as it applies to the situation we find ourselves in as a country. And the debate we had during the break was when the country enters into a period of temporary incumbency. What is your understanding of that?
Woodwork, I hold, and this is purely on the basis of the Constitution.
Woodwork.
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 Yes.
Thank you, Mutegi. I would have done that offline, but it's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it.
He's giving it an English version, so it's okay.
With a K at the end. Woodwork.
I'm giving it a little spin.
Yeah.
This country will have to spin. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind, speaking as a lawyer, speaking as an attorney, that there is absolutely no vacuum. President Uhuru
No, you've made that point.
Yes.
And the point is temporary incumbency. Does that apply to the period that we're in? And what happens during temporary incumbency? Can a president who is in that period open parliament, for instance?
The limitations are very clearly set out in Article 134 of the Constitution. And I think for the avoidance
because you've got
of
the
doubt,
Constitution.
for the avoidance of doubt, the powers that the president cannot exercise during a period such as this are as follows in Article 134(2). The nomination or appointment of the judges of the superior courts. He cannot nominate or appoint any judge of the superior court. The nomination or appointment of any other public officer whom this constitution or legislation require the president to appoint. So any public office appointment, nil. The nomination or appointment or dismissal of cabinet secretaries and other state or public officers. The nomination or appointment or dismissal of a high commissioner, ambassador, or diplomatic or consular representative. The power of mercy, which is set out in Article 139. The authority to confer honors in the name of the people of the Republic. Those are the 6 limitations. And as you can see, the limitations are purely with regard to fresh construction of the state, whether it's appointment of a public officer, appointment of envoys to represent
nominations
the country. Nominations and appointments.
So fresh construction.
Is a lawyer also. And yesterday, Mheshimiwa, when we were in Kibera, he said the president cannot open parliament.
Because the Constitution does not speak to that.
Mutegi,
and even I think somebody is trying to go to the High Court to stop.
No, Mutegi, please. And this is where I'm saying that we are being reckless and irresponsible. Wetangula is simply playing politics. And I would challenge Moses Wetangula, is a senior attorney and an experienced politician, to tell me from this constitution where the president is precluded from opening or presiding over the official opening of the House. Because Article 132, which clearly indicates the functions of the president, says the president shall address the opening of each newly elected parliament in very clear and equivocal terms. Article 132. Article 134, which limits the function the president may not exercise during temporary incumbency, does not include this address to a newly elected parliament. So where is Wetangula? Which constitution is Moses Wetangula reading? Wetangula is simply reading politics. And it is divisive, irresponsible, reckless politics that has got no backing in law or the Constitution.
The absence of the Supreme Court judges and the High Court judges also indicates it kind of like it supports that other argument that he had no business opening.
No.
But is it conditional that they must attend?
Hold on. Mutegi raises a valid question, yes, which we need to actually ventilate.
Yeah.
Does the absence of the Supreme Court judges from yesterday's opening of Parliament mean that they disagreed with President Uhuru Kenyatta opening Parliament, or, as the Chief Justice told us, they needed to write their verdict, and so they were busy with other things?
You know, I don't want to sit on this set and start engaging in conjecture and second-guessing the Supreme Court judges. I have heard...
Well, it's all over the press.
I have heard from certain quarters that the judges did not get
the invitation.
They were not invited.
That is the official communication from the Supreme Court. They were not invited. Why they were not invited, I do not know. I would not want to engage in that.
The Speaker, the clerk, what I claim they invited them through the registrar.
But Mutegi, what I know is that nowhere in the Constitution is there a requirement of either the judges of the Supreme Court
or the judiciary
to be represented during this State of the Nation address. There's no requirement. What is required is that the President appears and addresses a joint sitting of the National Assembly, and the President did it. And the President did it exactly in accordance with Article 132 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Anything else is politics and red herring.
So then, Ababu, we come to a point where the President talked about the fidelity to the Constitution. You will recall that the Supreme Court President also talked about that in issuing the verdict. Fidelity to the Constitution, respect for the rule of law. So can you honestly tell us as a lawyer that the President's behavior since the Supreme Court verdict matches his words?
Very much so. The President has operated strictly within the confines of the Constitution. The President has expressed disappointment, disaffection with that ruling, and I completely 100% agree with the President. And of course, to make even the matter worse, we have not even seen the reasoned judgment, the details.
So you agree with the President when he calls the Supreme Court justices wakora or thugs?
I don't think...
when he says that, you know, after the election, they will see him, he will deal with them. You agree with all of that? Because remember, yesterday he talked about fidelity to the Constitution, respect for the rule of law, and the separation of the arms of government, the independence of each.
This Constitution is the supreme law of the Republic and binds all persons. That is Article 2 of this Constitution. I believe that the President and all of us remain subject to the authority of this Constitution. Okay. Because in the absence of this Constitution, then Kenya is just a jungle.
But the question I asked you is whether the President's words match his actions. And you said you agreed with the President 100%.
Yes.
And so that's the intimidation of the Supreme Court justices, calling them thugs.
I'm saying he's going to deal with them.
And saying he's going to deal with them.
I want to make it very clear that I have not heard the President call any judge, supreme or otherwise, a thug. And I would want to see the evidence of the President calling any judge of the Supreme Court a thug. I haven't, Mutegi. Maybe you can educate me now.
So you haven't seen the clip?
What I know is that the President has expressed his disappointment. And you see, let us not limit this expression of disappointment to the President alone. Raila Odinga, before the ruling, just before the judgment, was in Mombasa during the swearing-in of Hassan Joho, and dismissively said, there is no way seven people are going to sit in a court and determine the destiny of Kenya. So, and that is on record.
Ababu,
that was expression of his own sentiments.
Okay, so what we're talking about today is political parties
versus public interest.
Versus public interest.
Yeah, thank you.
And what we find, and I think the panelists will agree, is that at least on the Jubilee side, everyone we have spoken to finds themselves unable to condemn the President's words, that whenever we, attempt to get a straight and clear answer from them about the wakora, the fixing and whatever, they jump onto what Raila Odinga...
But just a moment.
No, hold on.
Could someone just play me a clip where the President is calling
it's not our style, actually,
a thug? Because I believe the President would not think that.
You may not have heard it yourself,
yes,
but the three of us are telling you, when he was in Bama Market, he actually said, how wakora.
in how Akora was a statement, you see there is also a tendency to isolate one statement or one phrase in a long speech and attempt to give it twisted meaning.
Okay.
For instance, the other day when the president talked about the possibility of impeachment, everybody picked that statement and completely twisted it out of context.
I think the good thing is that you agree with us. We tell you the president did it, and you say Raila also did it in Mombasa. So it goes back
No, please. I did not say that.
Okay, make it clear.
I said that the president has expressed disappointment. President is also human like all of us. The president expressed disappointment with that ruling. I do not believe that he should be isolated in terms of expressing that disappointment.
One person was wrong, so we're all wrong.
No, I simply wanted to make it clear that many other people have expressed their disappointment,
and this
including
is the point
his
I
rival.
was making.
And these people are politicians.
But what I disagree with... What I disagree with...
This is what I was talking about, the Jubilee disingenuity. Because what you have done as Jubilee is that you have realized that you have been reckless in your utterances. You have come out to the narrative to try and damage, to limit the damage that has been done. And so that narrative is, we were expressing disappointment. We are within our rights to express disappointment. And when we zero in on some of the words that have been said, you say, but even Raila Odinga, why aren't you all also doing that?
Allow me, because I'm on this set, allow me to clear
Okay, so clear that up, and then we'll take a break because David Ng has joined us.
One, I want to make it very clear that I do not believe the president called the Chief Justice or any judge of the Supreme Court a thug.
You don't have to believe he did.
No, you're making that allegation on live TV, and I would want you, because if he made it in public, then we have a copy of it. I would want it to be played on this national TV so that we can see. The second thing, when the president talks about dealing with this matter or dealing with this issue,
since there's a problem,
dealing with them, not the matter.
The court,
the deputy president was here and made it very clear, Mutegi, that the question of dealing with this matter should be limited to clarifying the numbers so that we can go back to the ballot boxes, open the ballot boxes, and determine exactly what the Swahili call mbivu na mbichi.
Okay.
That's what he meant
dealing with
by
the matter.
Clearly dealing with the matter.
But dealing with these people, what did he mean?
You play the clip for me, and I can respond to it.
Okay, look,
I would want to respond to something that I have seen, I have heard, and I can confirm that indeed.
All right, so we can say you have no comment on this.
No, I have a comment. My comment is that I do not believe. I do not believe the president would think that.
Babu, we're taking a break. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Please send your questions and opinions for David Ndi of NASA, who's now joining us, and Ababu Namwamba of the Labour Party of Kenya. To us, our SMS number is 22422, and you can reach us on Twitter using the hashtag Cheche.